P is asking, what is Islam's Achilles heel from your experience? Look, I mean, I think there are different things for different people. For me, as a person, for me, myself, I wasn't even aware of all these problems that we had in Islamic morality and theology and history. I didn't know about any of these things. But so as I've said it plenty of times before, that I was listening to Richard Dawkins mainly, and then other new atheists. I was exposed to them. So my problems with religion, with Islam, were mostly universal arguments, and those were the arguments against God. So those were my problem, and I had already become an atheist when I had just listened to the arguments for or against God. So even that just wasn't making sense to me. But then afterwards, I looked into the morality, and I was like, whoa, that is just Islamic morality, just shocking. I mean, how? And then just out of my own interest, I just thought, this question came to my mind that, okay, if Quran was written by a 7th century desert man, then they obviously wouldn't know. They wouldn't have any knowledge of the modern sciences. But if it was written by God, then surely there must be something special in there. So then I looked into, I just looked into the fact that, is Earth round or not? I could not find a single verse, even though this was a popular belief at that time, thanks to Greeks and Indians. Does the sun go around the earth, or earth goes around the sun? I thought, okay, let's look that up. And then I found 10, 11 verses in which it's saying your sun has sun is moving in an orbit. And it's in reference to day and night. It's like, whoa. And that just became clear. So at the end of the day, when I wrote my book, at that point, I thought, the three things. And I put that in order of my discovery or my realization, you'd say. Number one, obviously, argument for or against God. Any God. That would apply. These are universal arguments. And that's why I became an atheist. That's why I call myself an almost agnostic atheist. Just borderline. I fully live my life as an atheist. But just for the sake of the argument, I would throw in the word agnostic, because we cannot 100% rule out any God. But that's why when these people come to me and they say, oh, you haven't read Hinduism. And I say, well, have you read Aboriginal religions or Aboriginal myths? No. You don't have to, because all of these can be shunned away by critical, simple, universal arguments. The universal arguments being, looking for clues and evidences for the existence of any supernatural being. So that was number one. Any evidence for or against God. Argument number two is the morality in Islam stands the test of time. And is the science in Islam any good? Unfortunately, answer to all those three questions were no. And in morality, if I look specifically into it, obviously apart from the fact that it was barbaric and it was definitely very time and geographically bound, morality it was, and a lot of even staunch Muslim apologists, even they say, oh well, back in those days, like Hazrat Aisha's marriage to Prophet Muhammad, they say that even though they can't make that claim, because if they say that this is eternal morality, then it should apply in all times. But things like slavery, and the worst part of slavery is sexual slavery. That part it never sat well with me, and this is the reason in my Urdu streams as well, I bring it up all the time. All the time I'm talking about this, because I feel that any decent person in the 21st century would be equally appalled by it when he finds out that you can raid a neighboring tribe, kill their men, and take their women as war booty, and do whatever you want. I mean, that just we cannot imagine it. I mean, we can imagine if we're watching an old movie or a documentary, tribes of Mongol hordes have come in and they've created hills of human skulls. Yeah, but we cannot imagine in this day and age. And then this book claims that it's a source of eternal morality. They make all types of bullshit excuses that, they didn't have prison systems. They didn't have, they couldn't set up big camps for war prisoners. Okay, so just kill them and take their wives. It just doesn't make any sense. So that part, I think, in morality, that's the worst part. I mean, yes, other parts like amputation, stoning adulterers to death, and blah blah blah. They're all bad ones in there as well. But and obviously, not to mention the misogyny that comes out of it. Women's statement being half. Women have to put a purda, put a burqa on, do a parda, which is covering, hiding themselves from the world. All those things are just, they're really bad. But the sex slavery part, it always hit me, because as a man, I know that how easily men can be corrupted. Like if I was a warlord, and if I had this power, and I've just overtaken this whole village, the whole city, I've razed it to the ground with my hordes, with my men, I know in that moment what men are capable of. We would be, obviously, that would be a massive ego boost that, you're the king of the world, you've got it. The amount of the kind of high you would get after conquering a city or a village or a civilization, that would be, that would just, that's a famous line from Peter Parker, the Spider-Man's uncle. He said, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He said that with great powers come great responsibilities. Yes, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It does. Imagine at that moment, what would you do? And this is why I believe that we have created such an amazing world that in this day and age, we even have rules and laws on how to treat the very person who was trying to kill you yesterday. Like the Geneva Convention, and how to treat prisoners of war. You can't torture them. You can't. So humans can come up with better morality than this so-called creator of billions of galaxies. So anyway, you asked me for one Achilles heel, but I think I would say sex slavery is a good point to start. Like if someone is really blind, I would say that would be a good starting point to start a conversation. I used to think that if you are speaking to a Muslim woman and you say, hey, by the way, your statement is worth half of that of a man, I thought everyone would be like, really? Screw you. No way. I'm equal to you. No, mostly what they say, yeah, women are a bit stupid. I'm like, what? There was this woman I was arguing with. I was like, so I put forward this argument. I was like, your statement is worth half of that of a man. She goes, yeah, women are stupid. I was like, okay, then how dare you are arguing with me, because you are stupid by your own admission. But then she was clever as well. She said, well, as compared to a man, but Harris, are you really a man? I was like, okay, here you go. No, I didn't do that. Anyway. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.